at war, and I am fighting for all of the broken people, all of the people thrown overboard. They always try to shame us, but they don't speak the language. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. Somebody sound the alarm. A fire was set in the dark. It's time that you know. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. It doesn't matter if the world is grown mad, if we just hold on, if we just hold on, yeah. The sky is falling and the world is grown mad, and we sing our songs and we just hold on, yeah. So if you're running, stop running. One life, one chance, start living. Sing it louder just to let the world know. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. We're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. We're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. They say that I'm reckless, because I'm relentless. They spit on my face and crush on my name and taking my life in vengeance. Yeah, you could try and blame us and try and take what's sacred, but we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. Somebody sound the alarm. A fire was set in the dark. It's time that you know. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. It doesn't matter if the world is gone mad, if we just hold on, if we just hold on, yeah. The sky is falling and the world is gone mad, and we sing our songs and we just hold on, yeah. So if you're running, stop running. One life, one chance, start living. Sing it louder just to let the world know. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. We're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. Somebody sound the alarm. It's time that you know. It doesn't matter if the world is gone mad, if we just hold on, if we just hold on, yeah. Sing it louder just to let the world know. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. We were born for greatness. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless, we were born for greatness. Red alert, Tom, shine a light down. this far, and that it's not worth fighting for. The words are written on the wall. Come on and fight back. No starting over again. We'll take it right back from the ones where again it's time to rise up, even though they left us for dead. This is our last stand. Take a chance now and draw a line in the sand. It's in our hands now. No living with regret. It's time to rise up, even though they left us for dead. This is our last This is our last
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me. You got your rules and your religion, all designed to keep you safe. But when rules start getting broken, you start questioning your faith. I have a voice that is my savior, hates to love and loves to hate. I have a voice that has the knowledge and the power.
Hello and welcome to the final WWE Wrestling Talk Show of 2018 with Lisa Rock Jones and
Sean Rand-Smith, and the final pay-per-view of 2018 that we're going to discuss is Tables, Ladders, and Chairs.
STLC, 3 of the most dangerous weapons in WWE. So we've got 12 matches to go through, so let's jump straight in. 2 of which were moved to the pre-show, and those 2 matches we will briefly skim through. First one being Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight Championship.
So, how do we feel this Cruiserweight Championship match went down?
I would say that overall it was a good match. However, the result wasn't exactly surprising.
And that was
That the winner of the match, and still Cruiserweight Champion, is Buddy Murphy, and considering that Cedric Alexander spent most of the year as champion, it's not really surprising.
But what was on the actual main match card?
Oh, we've got another pre-show match to do first.
Oh yeah.
And that comes under the L of TLC in some ladders. Bobby Lashley took on Elias in a ladder match, with a guitar being suspended above the ring. Now, there was a slight confusion here, because we were under the assumption that there was going to be a case of the person who retrieved the guitar could use it as a weapon, but you would have to win the match by pinfall or submission. However, the first person to retrieve a guitar would win the match, and that person was Elias. However, he was not able to celebrate his victory because after winning the match, he was nailed with a guitar by Bobby Lashley.
With a little bit of assistance from Leo Rush. And we were a bit confused here because the bell rang after Elias grabbed the guitar. Last time we checked, the match doesn't end that way.
Well, most ladder matches end when you grab the thing above the ring. It's just a few that don't. But anyway, moving on to the main match card.
Oh, yeah.
The main show opened up with the finals of the Mixed Match Challenge, in which the winning team would be granted the number 30 entrant in their respective Royal Rumble matches in January.
And the teams the teams in this final were
Mahalisa in Alicia Fox and Jinder Mahal with the Announcing Brothers.
Yeah.
Against the Fabulous Truth of Carmella and R-Truth.
So how do we feel that this Mixed Match Challenge final actually went?
To be 100% honest, I would have rather seen the teams, or at least one team in this, that is more likely to win the Royal Rumble match from number 30. Because as much as over as they are, a team like the Fabulous Truth, and definitely a team like Mahalisa, are not going to win the Royal Rumble match.
But the winning team of the match were?
With the Code of Silence applied, Carmella forced Alicia Fox to tap out, which means that the winners of the Mixed Match Challenge are the Fabulous Truth, and entering number 30 in their respective Royal Rumbles will be R-Truth and Carmella.
So that means that R-Truth gets number 30 in the men's Royal Rumble match, and Carmella gets number 30 in the women's Royal Rumble match.
Next we move on to some tag team action. When the Bar defended the SmackDown Tag Team Championships in a triple threat match against the New Day and the Usos. Now, triple threat matches are chaotic enough at the best of times. When you add tag teams into that, they become even more so.
Oh yeah.
The rules here being that only two teams at once are legal in the ring. You do not have to tag your own team to be inserted into the match. Now, after a few spots, like the Macho Man style elbow from Xavier Woods, some super kicks by the Usos.
Ouch.
At the end of it came down to one move that would signal the end for a New Day, and that would be a bro kick.
And that was?
A bro kick was hit on Xavier Woods, which would allow the Bar to retain the SmackDown Tag Team Championships.
So the Bar head into 2019 with the SmackDown Tag Team title.
At the moment.
Yes.
Next, we moved on to our first TLC match of the evening, if you can call it that, which you will explain in a minute. When Baron Corbin took on Braun Strowman with some very serious stipulations on the line. If Baron Corbin was to win this match, he would be named the full-time general manager of Monday Night Raw.
Which would send Raw down a very deep hill.
If Braun Strowman was to win, then not only would Baron Corbin be stripped of all authoritative power, but Strowman would be given a Universal Championship match against one Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble.
So Baron Corbin was in the ring, about to announce himself as the winner.
Yes,
But then, out of nowhere, we then heard the music of One Certain Monster Among Men.
Yes, because of the injury to his elbow, Baron Corbin was smug, saying that he would win by forfeit. Braun Strowman would come to the ring in a sling, with a sling on his arm, and he would inform Baron Corbin of what tiny detail he forgot regarding a TLC match.
That this match is no disqualification.
Which would then turn this match into essentially a handicap match.
Because out comes Glossy Gable.
We had Apollo Crews, Glorious Gable, and Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, Finn Balor, even the referee, Heath Slater, would play a factor, as well as the former main general manager of Monday Night Raw, Kurt Angle.
Would get involved, and then Kurt Angle would also be armed with a steel chair.
Yes, there would be a chair attack on chair attack. Then Bobby Roode and Chad Gable hit their, tag team finisher?
Yep.
On them. Apollo Crews would hit what looked like a frog splash.
Mm-hmm.
Then Kurt Angle would hit the Angle Slam. Finn Balor would hit the coup de grace, and all Braun Strowman had to do was put his foot on top of Strowman to pin him. Now, as if I wasn't bad enough, the next night on Raw, once the McMahons had taken control of the show again.
And yes, you heard it right, the McMahons are now in charge of both Raw and SmackDown Live now.
Baron Corbin would come out saying, "It's not fair. I wasn't expecting this. Blah de blah de blah.
Blah blah blah, and even more blah."
The McMahons would give him the chance to get the general managership again. All he had to do was defeat Kurt Angle in a one-on-one match. But then Heath Slater was added as the special guest referee. But then it was turned into a handicap match with Apollo Crews and the tag team champions of Glorious Gable. And then it was turned into a no disqualification match, which basically left Baron Corbin screwed.
Yeah, so Baron Corbin got a little bit of revenge, got a little bit of payback, or he got a little bit more of a bigger beat down than he did before.
So Baron Corbin is now out of power, which essentially means that he will be probably going back to a main superstar full time.
Possibly, and also, if you're also wondering, what does that mean for Alexa Bliss and Hyman, the women's supervisor? Even she's stripped of power now.
Well, yes, and we're not sure what's going to happen with Alexa Bliss at the moment. And also, Paige was relieved of her duties as SmackDown general manager, but was also said that she would stay on the show.
But anyway, what was our next match at TLC?
Next, we go to the T of TLC and the tables match, when Natalya would take on Ruby Riott of the Riott Squad, who would be accompanied by Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. The objective, of course, to put your opponent through a table.
And as the Riott Squad were making their entrance, they had a table picture of Jim D'Angelo Neidhart.
Yes, this entire rivalry has been centered around the death of Natalya's father. Some fans may say it's been done in his taste.
But it's classic WWE though. They always seem to do it though.
Yes, but there's a borderline with a story like this that I do not think that WWE have crossed. It may be stupid, but it's not done in distaste. However, as the match goes through, Natalya attempted to knock Ruby Riott off the apron and through a table, only for Liv Morgan to sacrifice herself and go through a table.
And then the same thing happened to Sarah Logan later on in the match.
Yes, Sarah Logan attempted to interfere halfway through after this, and then went through a table herself. Then Natalya would get a table with Ruby Riott's picture on it. And after some back and forth on the turnbuckle, it would be Natalya would be able to hit a powerbomb through the table, giving her the victory of this match, which I will admit to me was a little surprising. I wasn't necessarily expecting Natalya to win this.
True. Does it kind of come out of nowhere?
Isn't that your trick?
It kind of is. I think I'll let Natalya have a little bit of fun with that one.
Next, we saw Drew McIntyre take on Finn Balor. Yes, after beating up Baron Corbin, Finn Balor makes another appearance for his actual match.
Yes.
Now, this was a bit of a random match, and a match they could quite easily have done on Raw, and quite frankly have done on Raw. But the end of this match was a bit of a weird one. Because whilst the referee was distracted and talking to Finn Balor, Drew McIntyre's former partner and friend Dolph Ziggler would run in with a super kick.
Yes.
Then he would grab a chair. They would be back in the ring. Drew McIntyre was able to hit Ziggler with a Claymore kick. Finn Balor was able to capitalize on the distraction, knocking McIntyre into the corner and hitting the coup de grace, and thus getting the 1-2-3. The weird part is, backstage after this,
Yeah, it's very weird.
Dolph Ziggler basically comes up to Finn Balor and says, "You're welcome." There are a few words exchanged, and then Dolph Ziggler attacks Finn Balor.
But which led to a match on Raw.
Which led to the match on Raw, which basically ended in a no contest because of Drew McIntyre's interference, which, spoiler alert, leads to a triple threat match on the Christmas Eve edition of Monday Night Raw, which again, spoiler alert, Finn Balor wins.
Pretty much. Next
match is the C of TLC, a chairs match. Where Randy Orton takes on the master of the 619, Rey Mysterio. A rekindled rivalry from 2006.
Yeah, that's going back, definitely. When I said me things coming to hear about Eddie Guerrero, that's going to story another time.
After Rey Mysterio eliminated Randy Orton from the Royal Rumble match to win it.
Yes. So the chairs match for me, it was a bit of a hectic one.
Yes, in a chairs match, chairs are legal weapons to use, and they were used quite a bit. I don't think we saw a RKO in this match, did we?
No, we didn't.
We saw an attempted, I think it was 619.
I don't think so either.
Because the ending of this match came when Rey Mysterio performed a Hurricane Rana on a set of chairs that had been set up, dazing Randy Orton, and allowing Rey Mysterio to catch Randy Orton in a quick roll-up for Rey Mysterio to get the 1-2-3 and then get the heck out of there before Randy Orton could do any damage.
Rey Mysterio pretty much caught me off guard.
Oh yeah, why don't you get your head slammed into some chairs and then see if you can kick out of a quick pinfall?
I'm here talking about someone actually tried to do that, to be honest. But I'll be ready for it.
Next we go to the Raw Women's Championship, where Nia Jax, who seems to have decided to become the Big Show with the knockout fist ever since breaking the nose of Becky Lynch,
Yes.
who would be accompanied by Tamina, would take on Ronda Rousey.
For the Raw Women's Championship.
Yes. Now, here, we have seen these two go at each other at the Money in the Bank. That ended in a disqualification victory for Ronda Rousey due to Alexa Bliss cashing in.
Yeah.
During this match, Nia Jax would hit the Samoan drop, which Ronda Rousey would kick out of.
Yeah.
But in the conclusion of the match, Nia Jax would go for the punch, which seems to become her trademark, Big Show, and would be caught in a armbar, in which Rousey looked directly at Tamina when doing it. Tamina did attempt to get into this sometimes, but after locking in the armbar, Nia Jax was forced to submit, which means that Ronda Rousey is still the Raw Women's Champion. However, backstage, Nia Jax was attacked by the woman she broke the face of, Becky Lynch.
Yeah, pretty much.
And whilst in an interview, Ronda Rousey was brought up the subject of what happened with Charlotte at Survivor Series, basically saying that Payback is a bitch.
Okay, yep, it definitely is. The second one, Ronda Rousey went the wrong pay-per-view.
Well, Payback.
Much.
Next, we move on to the WWE Championship match.
Oh, yeah.
Now, 5 weeks, I believe it was, earlier, Daniel Bryan stole the WWE Championship from AJ Styles with a low blow into the running knee.
Signaling his heel turn in the process.
But now, AJ Styles would get his rematch. And this match was possibly the match of the night.
Absolutely.
Because the one thing these two can do is work.
These men definitely can work. Definitely show you that. became a critical moment of the match.
Yes, after Cab crashes the Label Lock. It's not called the S Lock anymore, it's called the Label Lock again.
Yeah.
The end of the match came when Daniel Bryan was able to catch AJ Styles into a roll-up and remain the WWE Champion, which means that for the first time since 2014, Daniel Bryan has competed in a successful title defense.
Correct. So then comes our next contest. And before we move on to that, Daniel Bryan has promised he will change the leather strap around the WWE Championship.
Did he?
Yes, he wants to make it more vegan friendly.
How do you make a championship strap vegan friendly?
I don't know, it's on your mind, but let's move swiftly on.
Next was a match which kind of disappointed, but the crowd had probably been burned out by then, because when you have to sit through a 4-hour pay-per-view, you can get burnt out with some of the matches.
Oh yeah, and the crowd were chanting, "This is boring."
We are of course talking about the rivalry which got personal on the night that Roman Reigns was forced to vacate the Universal Championship due to leukemia, and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose would become Raw Tag Team Champions, only for Dean Ambrose to attack Seth Rollins and turn heel.
Yes.
Or setting up this match for TLC when Seth Rollins would defend the Intercontinental Championship against Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
These two superstars have done battle a few years ago when Seth Rollins was the heel. And they probably could have done a better match than they did here, but after everything, there was an attempted stop by Seth Rollins.
Yes.
That was counted into Dirty Deeds for Dean Ambrose to pick up the pinfall and his third Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
Which,
And the result pretty much came out of nowhere, because me and Reese the Rock were not expecting the Intercontinental Championship to change hands this early.
well, I kind of suspected it because Seth Rollins has been Intercontinental Champion for essentially most of the year when you regard both of his two runs.
True.
And this may not be the last we see of this rivalry.
No.
However, there was probably a slight celebration between Dean Ambrose and his lovely wife on commentary, Renee Young. And despite actually acknowledging this and not acknowledging the relationship between the two too much, there were some people want Renee Young to turn heel and possibly join Ambrose. But finally, it is now time for the main event. Now, we said earlier that triple threat matches are chaotic at the best of times. But
Is that better than a TLC match? Or shall we call it TLCW?
yes, the first ever women's tables, ladders and chairs match, when Becky Lynch would defend the championship against Charlotte and Asuka.
out how do we think this first ever history-making women's TLC match went?
Well, if there's one match apart from the WWE Championship that probably stole the night, it would be this one.
But then came one key moment.
We shall get
kind of invaded.
we shall get to that in a moment.
Oh yeah.
Here we had spots like Asuka performing a powerbomb on Charlotte onto the through a table.
Ouch.
Becky Lynch placed both Asuka and Charlotte on an announced table and dove through them with a leg drop from a ladder, in which Asuka was able to roll out of the way, but Charlotte took the full impact.
Yeah.
Charlotte would spear Asuka through the barricade into the timekeeper's area.
But then came a very interesting and controversial moment.
And then Charlotte would position Lynch on the table and did the flip off through the table. As we even had a candlestick make an appearance here, which seems to be the favourite weapon of Charlotte at the minute.
I think we should start calling her Charlotte Kendo Flair.
But after all of his carnage, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair climbed the ladder and were battling back and forth, only for Ronda Rousey to march down to the ring and push the ladder over, because payback is indeed a bitch. Of course, Becky Lynch invaded Raw and attacked Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte attacked Ronda Rousey with a candlestick at Survivor Series.
Yes. Which left Asuka with a clear chance for a championship.
Yes, this left the path clear for Asuka, and Asuka not only started the year by winning the first ever women's Royal Rumble match, she ends the year by winning the first women's TLC match and becoming SmackDown Women's Champion.
Correct. And I believe that is Asuka's first singles championship since moving up from NXT.
Since in the year or so that she's been on the main roster, yes. Long time overdue. But that does it for Tables, Ladders and Chairs. It was a good way to end the pay-per-view schedule of 2018.
Yes.
We shall be back in the first or second week of January to basically look back at 2018.
So before we say our goodbyes, we would like to wish our listeners a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes, and join us in 2019, where we shall look back at 2018, and then to quote the headline for WrestleMania 20, it all begins again.
So until then, he's been
Lisa Rock Jones, and he's been
Sean Randy Smith. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we will see you in 2019.
Bye.
Bye.